WXTA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
I can see for miles and miles and miles and miles.
All right, Ocala Eye is in the studio. Representing Ocala Eye, Nikki Nix is here. She's the Patient Services Coordinator for Ocala Eye. And Shannon Rains is here. She's the Referral Coordinator for Ocala Eye. If you have any questions about eyeglasses or eye care or eye surgery, if you have something serious going on with your vision and you'd like to ask about it, please don't hesitate to call. I have a tendency to steer the conversation in a silly direction, and that's just not going to change. But you can you can still call and interrupt me. I have no problem with you calling in and asking a serious question to the ladies about eye care. And of course, you can always call Ocala Eye at 622-5183. The number to call this show during the course of these 25 minutes is 622-9622 if you want to call Nikki or Shannon. Good morning again, ladies.
Good morning.
So, did you just have a pop in your ear?
Yes.
Yeah. I did too. So we went to Orlando, and I got to look at the mile markers. Did I tell you this already?
Okay,
so,
no.
So anyway, I could see the mile markers.
There you go.
I know that doesn't seem like much to most people, but to me, it was a big deal.
It does when you're not used to being able to see it.
Right.
I mean, it changes your lifestyle, literally.
Yeah. So I'm kind of being silly, but it's the truth, and it's serious, and it's such a big difference, you know? Mm-hmm. And so thank you again for the eyeglasses. And anybody, if you need eyeglasses, go get eyeglasses.
Yes.
You know, I don't know why people don't. Have you heard the excuses? Is it because they think they're too expensive, or?
I think the expense is some part. I've heard some people say that they feel like if they wear them and they take them off, their vision's worse when they take them off, so they don't want to.
They feel like they're going to make their vision worse by using correction, which is not true.
And that doesn't happen.
No,
it's not true.
So I actually thought that might be true, but I need them anyway, so I keep them on. Really?
Mm-hmm. Well,
you're so blurry without them.
Well, I think it does change. I think their uncorrected vision does change for them once they've worn correction, but it's because your brain processes the information so much clearer.
Okay.
So it's basically kind of telling you it doesn't like the way that it sees without glasses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it probably does visually change for them a little bit. It doesn't necessarily make them more dependent on glasses, because if they were to take them off and leave them off, they're going to kind of get back to that same spot they were before they started wearing them.
Yeah.
But your brain likes the way it sees when it's clear.
So do I. I agree with my brain. Yeah, it's one of those things where you wonder why. Like, for example, I could function, but I wouldn't be able to read anything. Not really, unless it was huge.
Right.
You know, I could drive without glasses, but I couldn't read the mile markers, or maybe even some of the important signs. I don't know. Yeah, you know what I probably have a hard time with? You know those digital signs overhead on the highways that say, you know, traffic jam 15 miles or something like that? That would be probably missed. I'd miss that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely couldn't read the back of the Rand McNally map. I know that went away a long time ago.
I don't know that I've pulled out a physical map in a long time.
No.
either.
I'm bad about just punching it in my little maps thing and it telling me how to get there.
Well, you know, that's a good thing, though, I think. Do you know, there was a story this morning you might be interested in. You know the Alexa thing? You say, Alexa, and it'll... Okay. Well, there's one now for sign language.
Really?
Yes. Oh, and I saved something for you also that I wanted to share with you. See if I can remember what I did with it. I can't remember what it is anymore. Do you remember, Robin, what I saved?
No, but I know you saved something for the ladies.
Yeah.
You put it somewhere.
But this was this morning. There was a story about... There's a device that they sell. It's called the Echo or something.
Yes.
And it's got a screen, the one with a screen, and that can you can use sign language with it.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, what was the thing I was telling them about? Oh, it was the nose.
Oh, the smell thing.
The smell
olfactory thing.
Yeah, the olfactory.
Week.
Yes. Oh, I had the article for you, and I saved it. Yeah, and they showed it. It attaches to your eyeglasses. There was a new design, so it doesn't look like scaffolding hanging under your nose. I know it sounds weird.
I missed this conversation.
Yeah, Shannon wasn't here last week.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
it was something they invented to help people who can't smell.
Yeah, and there's a word for not being able to smell. I can't remember what the word was, but I'm thinking you're going to get into this soon. Ocala eye, nose, and ears.
You never know about us.
No,
Yeah, and the picture showed 3 designs, Robin, I think it was.
Yes, I think it was 3.
So it helps you smell if you
Yes.
can't smell.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the story that came with it was a guy got thrown off a horse, and he lost his sense of smell. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
He loves you, ladies. He gets so excited.
Well, I thought, I tell these stories and somebody goes, come on, Larry, did you make that up? But no, I didn't make it up. Okay. VCU researchers. VCU stands for Virginia, I think. 2 VCU faculty are developing a device meant to restore the sense of smell. Okay, Scott Moorhead was thrown into a deep depression when he lost his sense of smell 5 years ago. He had a traumatic brain injury. It's in Marion, Indiana. He was trying to teach his 6-year-old son how to skateboard. Okay, that's what it was. And he suffered a concussion, had internal bleeding. Long story short, he lost his sense of smell. But everything else. He couldn't smell anything anymore. So 6.3 million people suffer from a loss of smell.
Wow.
It is called, I'm going to give this to you so you can bring it back.
That'll be good conversation during lunch.
Anyway, there's a word for it. It's not amnesia. That's, you can't, sleep?
Yeah.
Or remember?
remember.
Oh, you can't remember? It was like amnesia. This is just such a long article. But anyway, so... Oh.
Did you find it?
Well, no, but there's one photo in here of the glasses that they wear. So I don't want to move them out of order. So there it is. I'll put it like that, and you can look at it. So there's like a skull with the glasses, and the thing hangs off of the bridge of the nose of the glasses down to the nose. I know it's kind of small,
I see it.
and yeah, I think
Small
that
gas sensor.
yeah, and so it helps you smell again, right? What if you would ever turn it off? You know,
Sometimes I think you might want to.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes that might be a blessing to have that disorder.
Wow.
but anyway, yeah.
They did bring up hearing in here too, basically saying that it's wonderful to be able to help patients with cochlear implants, and
Yeah.
might be a clinical
Technology's
option
amazing, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is.
I'm sure in the article somewhere it says what VCU stands for. It's Virginia something University. So the V and the U, Virginia, I don't know what the C stands for. I can't remember.
Interesting.
But anyway, all right, let me go to the phone. The phone is ringing. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, good morning. It almost sounds like you're describing a pair of Groucho Marx glasses.
It is sort of, right?
Yeah.
They're big, yeah.
They do kind of look like that.
Yeah, a funny thing under the nose. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, have a good day.
Yeah.
And that really is amazing because you do eyes and you do ears, and it's just wonderful how everything's all connected.
It is connected,
That when you
yeah.
lose one, you try to make up for it somewhere else.
Yeah. Those are very important senses, and hearing and vision are very closely in touch with each other. So just kind of like smell and taste are. So I would venture to say
Right,
for
right,
him, it
right.
affected his eating as well, because food probably wasn't.
Yeah, when you
The
can't
same
smell, you
to
can't
him.
really taste your
Right,
food.
right.
So for our
that
patients,
would be tragic.
Yeah. Couldn't enjoy. What if everything tasted the same?
I just thought of that.
Can you taste if you hold your nose? We should experiment with this.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so, because like whenever my little one, I'm giving him medicine, and I'll tell him, because there's some that's nasty to him.
Oh,
That's what-
really?
It's nasty. I say, well, hold your nose and swallow.
And he doesn't taste it.
He's fine.
You can't.
And I mean,
Really?
I could believe that, because smell and taste are related like hearing and vision are. So for us, that's why we started having a hearing specialist, because patients don't really realize how closely those two are connected and how much they affect one another when you're not hearing like you should or when you're not seeing like you should.
Do you know, we went to a theater at Disney Springs to see Mamma Mia 2.
Okay. Okay.
It was great.
I want to see that.
And it's a Dolby theater. And
Okay.
before the thing starts, they show you all the great differences between Dolby and non-Dolby.
Okay.
And they say you get the real sense. So your chair vibrates,
Okay.
right? There's really deep tones in the theater with the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the picture's supposed to be extra crisp. Okay. Then they have a commercial. Pouring Coca-Cola into a glass.
Okay.
And my chair is shaking. This is not the real experience of a Coke being poured.
Nope, it's not.
They are misleading us.
No.
Earth shattering.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the next thing in the theater to give you the real feeling is the smell? I mean,
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine that?
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger all sweaty.
Yeah, no thanks.
I'm not interested.
No.
Nikki, your face was great.
Have you ever, when you've been giving a person an eye exam and you're chatting with the patient, have you ever noticed there might be that they can't really hear you that well, and then you bring it up to them and
Oh,
they don't
really?
even know themselves?
Yes. I think that they don't realize that they get in such a habit of asking what or excuse me, having people repeat themselves. They tend to stare at your lips a lot more when you're talking than
Oh.
normal people do, because they're trying to read your lips a little bit as well. So, I think that, as tactfully as you can, you just kind of say, we do offer free hearing consultations if you'd be interested in seeing the hearing specialist if you, don't currently wear.
Hearing aids.
Did you have a birthday recently?
It's in 2 days.
In 2 days.
Yes.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shannon, is yours near soon?
September
September. What? September what?
9/11.
Same as Robin.
Nice. Yeah, me too.
Really?
Her
Yeah.
birthday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you had
Virgos.
How old are you on? Oh, I don't want to ask. Never mind.
I'll be 41.
I was wondering in 2001. So you were old enough to know what was going on. I don't know. I mean, you look so
I
young.
had a child then.
You did? Holy mackerel. So we had a story this morning about the things dogs can detect.
Okay.
And most of it was associated with their ability to smell.
Yes, because they break the smell apart differently than we do. So when we smell spaghetti cooking, for instance, we
Yeah.
smell, probably the spaghetti sauce
Right.
itself, and maybe your bread or whatever. But they smell like the oregano and the tomato and
How do we know that?
they break their senses out. They just. That's how it's been proven. That's why they use dogs for detection for other
it's
things
amazing,
than
isn't it?
for police work, like
Yeah.
cancer cells and
Yeah.
bed bugs and
Bed bugs?
yes,
Really?
yeah, they do.
What was the thing? Did I tell you about the epilepsy dog? Did I tell you about that dog?
I
The
don't
seizure,
think so.
the seizure dog. Robin's daughter works at an animal clinic down
Okay.
in
Tampa.
Tampa, and so we went to have lunch, and there was a lady sitting there that knew Shannon, and she had a dog, and the dog had been trained but was retired. It was a support dog for somebody with epilepsy, somebody who might have seizures, and the dog knows in advance to tell you, hey, you're going to have a seizure.
Well, I think it has something to do with the way that they smell too. Just like their dogs can tell too when people have really high blood sugar or their blood sugar's low, like they're gonna kind of pass out from
Is
it.
that right?
I think that
Wow.
you put off a smell, and
my.
that's what alerts them to. Now, some of it, like for PTSD, some of it's behavior triggers for
Sure,
the dog to
sure,
notice
yeah.
that you're about to become. In your panic state or whatever, you're utilizing your service dog.
Remind
for,
me, your
but-
husband is a canine officer?
Yes.
Do we call him the canine officer or the dog?
Well, the canine is the dog, so he's just a canine handler.
Handler, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But is the dog actually considered an officer?
Yes, they have their own badge
Oh,
number.
wow.
They're
Isn't that
sworn
amazing?
in. They're
And do you need to know like how to train the dog, or does the dog come trained?
Oh no! Well, it really just depends.
Or
but
both.
most of the dogs they purchased are from overseas, and they come green dogs is what they call. They just have some basic bite work and things like that. So we do.
Oh, and then you train them.
They do the yes. They
Oh,
do their own
wow.
Training.
When the service dogs come into Ocala Eye, are they with their owner the whole time, or do they stay
Yes,
somewhere
they stay
else?
with them the whole time,
They
right
stay
next
the
to
whole
their
time?
chair. They go with them in the exam room.
And they're not afraid of the different, like the darkness and things like that.
I've actually seen a service dog that was laying down beside the chair, and the patient was kind of getting a little irritated whenever the refraction was being done because they didn't know what they liked better whenever the refraction of better
yeah,
one or
that's
two.
hard.
So that people get a little frustrated sometimes, and the dog actually stood up and like put its paw on the leg because I guess it sensed her being frustrated. I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow. You
is
mean to
really
say, don't
something.
worry, it's okay.
Yeah. I'm
Like
here.
to calm her, like her
I'm here.
anxiety.
Yeah. Oh, how neat is that?
And so one of the things was the pregnancy. A dog can tell. I don't know if any woman is pregnant, but its woman, the woman it knows, it can tell if it's pregnant. She's pregnant.
Yeah, that was an amazing story, too.
It's amazing what's out
Amazing
there, right?
story.
Yeah.
It is.
When you go to your conferences and things like that, do stories like this come up? Or do you just focus on the medical?
I was going to say, most of our stuff is usually educational.
Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't really had any stories about animals and things.
yeah.
Are
most
you
of it's
in the same classes as your doctors sometimes?
not normally?
You go
I
there?
mean, a lot of their stuff, I think, tends to go more surgical related. What outcomes are, they're using this phaco machine or this,
More of the science.
Yeah.
What kind of machine? Phaco?
Yeah, that's what the machine's called that they use for cataract surgery. So phaco emulsifies the actual
Phaco.
Oh.
How you spell that?
PHACO.
Phaco.
They go.
So when you're doing the cataract surgery, is that the instrument that's actually doing the cutting? Is that machine, or does the doctor have hands-on with his scalpel?
The machine is actually what assists with the surgery, but the surgeon actually holds the instruments and drives the machine. So they have a foot pedal that they use that, drives what they want. There's different settings on it that they go through. They can change all that from their foot pedal or their, surgical tech or nurse. There's a remote
Oh,
that
my.
they have that they can just switch the settings as well as they go through the steps of the process of cataract surgery.
And do they use the glue that's out there now, or do you still use the sutures?
They use glue for some things. For some for some amniotic grafts that we use, we do glue those on. They use glue for some things, but for the most part, they still cataract surgery itself is if it's a regular, no problems, normal cataract surgery. There's no stitch or glue at all used. That wound is self-sealing. So,
And what's an amniotic graft?
it's a graft made from amniotic tissue.
And where do you get that tissue? I don't know anything about this.
We get it from donor banks.
Oh, dead people?
Donor.
Oh.
What part of the body does that come from?
From actual
Eyes?
baby, amniotic tissue that the baby's housed in.
Oh,
I don't know what the word
okay.
amniotic means.
Okay.
Maybe that's my problem. I'm stuck on the word.
Yeah, it's amniotic.
Because I've heard
is-
of amniotic
sac.
fluid, but I
Amniotic
didn't
sac
know.
is what the baby's in.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm sorry.
It's that,
I should have known that, right?
No, it's that tissue. So I don't know if just like now, I think you can't you salvage your cord tissue blood and stuff now? You can
no
keep it and
idea.
pay for a bank. So I don't know how they go about harvesting it. I don't know if it's just something that
I
they
wonder where mine is.
use from healthy.
Flushed it.
We use donor banks for our corneas and for our amniotic tissue. They come in like this square, like
Really?
flat package.
I was listening to a biography, and the author of the biography was not one Robin and I did. It was a different. I was listening to a podcast. Anyway, she wrote a book about this guy. I can't remember who it was. But she wanted to find something to illustrate that he was philanthropic and was
Okay.
giving. And so then she discovered something that said at the end of his life, his wife was the only one who knew that he had signed up to donate his corneas to science, whatever. And so she used that as a way to end the book. And I thought, well, that was way back. That was like maybe not way back, but early 1900s, I think, 1903. Does that sound right? Were they doing that back then?
I don't
They-
know.
So I don't know if I have
I don't
the year
know when
right.
they were starting that. I'm not sure. I mean, but without people who, not
Isn't it
without
amazing,
organ
though?
donation, the medicine wouldn't go a lot of places. I
Right.
mean,
You think about how long we've been around and how just in 100 years,
yes.
Yep.
how much has changed?
Even 10 years.
Yeah.
Medicine is it's always ever changing. The technology is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So when people die and they do donate their corneas, where do the corneas go to be preserved?
They go
then?
To a bank.
to a donor bank. And then for each doctor, it's different. But for most doctors, I know for us with corneas, it matters how long they were on life support, and not having regular oxygen. They can't have had, certain, medical conditions, could eliminate them from being an ideal donor for the patient. Normally, we like the donor's tissue to be younger than the person receiving the actual tissue.
Right.
There's a lot of requirements that our two doctors that do the transplants prefer their tissue to be before they accept it. So then they look over it. On the piece of paper what the patient died from, what their cause of death from, what their health conditions were, and things like that. And they say yes or no. And if we say we want to accept it, then normally it's shipped to us. Usually we receive it the morning of the procedure. It's in a refrigerated, cooler.
And the cornea that's received then from the patient that died, will the new patient have that same vision?
No, because all they harvested was the healthy cornea tissue. So your overall vision has to do with the shape of your eye, how long it is, how short it is, where the light hits, where it enters, where it hits in the back of the eye. It's all this whole big optical system. So basically, if they're needing a corneal transplant, they have very unhealthy cornea tissue that's either one causing them, chronic surface problems on their eye that can give them pain or inflammation, or the tissue just continues to deteriorate and does cause their vision to be blurry. So we're just replacing that healthy tissue centrally.
Or it'll cloud over, whenever you have an unhealthy cornea, it'll cloud over like something like this. And then if they put a new tissue on, then...
Right.
This is real clear.
Wow.
That'll be me one day
fantastic.
because I'm heading in that direction, right? So does it affect your perception of color? Like, does that blue door look the same hue of blue as if I had if I didn't have, what do I have again?
You have cataracts.
You have cataracts.
No. And you as an artist will probably know that more so than someone who doesn't dabble in
Well, that's my
any art.
concern, is that if I ever get this done, I'm going to look at the artwork I've done and go, oh my God, I made that lady blue.
You'll just realize that your quality of the color that you see is probably going to be different than what you
Really?
originally
I wonder
interpreted it as.
if any of the classic artists never had cataract surgery, and that's contributing to what we see
Could be.
of what they did.
It could be. I mean, we've done cataract surgery on countless artists. I know you've had to hear it. And they just say, "Oh my gosh,
The colors are brighter and more vivid.
I didn't know it was this color."
But have you
Even
ever
people
heard?
painting their house inside and outside, like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that
I thought
color."
my walls were beige.
Yes.
They're actually white.
Oh, gee. Gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
So when people, do you ever see younger people under the age of like 60 that have cataracts that are forming that you take care of them? Because it used to be like a more mature person's
Right.
type.
But yeah, I mean, there are some early forming cataracts. Some can be caused from trauma. Some can be congenital that just, get worse a little bit sooner. Some people just have a more aggressive progressing cataract than someone else next to you. So it just, everybody's different.
Medications can cause the progression of them.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Steroids, if you're, long-term steroid, have to be on steroids for long time use. There's different things.
So Ocala Eye will help you out with your eye needs, and if you need anything, whether it's eyeglasses or something serious like macular degeneration or cornea problems, they would call you, right? What's the number?
352-622-5183.
Okay, and what else? Phone? I'm trying to do two things at once over here.
OcalaEye.com, where
Thank
they
you.
can find us on our Facebook
There.
page as well.
Okay. Nikki and Shannon, thank you both for what you do.
Thank you.
We'll take a little break and be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump's on his way to Kansas City, Missouri for the VFW National Convention.